The thing people never tell you about holding everything together is how quiet it is while you're doing it. No applause, no warning bells, just silence and a steady feeling that if you let go for 1 second, the whole thing tips. That's where I was when this started. I didn't ask for the account. Nobody did. The room went still when the director said its name. Like the air had thinned. I remember looking down at my notebook, already knowing what was coming. I said I could take it. My voice didn't shake. My hands did. And as usual, this story is a work of fiction, created by our editorial team for storytelling purposes. All characters, events, and organizations are fictional. Any resemblance is purely coincidental. Thank you, and let's continue. My name is Elena Whitmore, 30 years old. I told myself it would be temporary. Just until the mess was cleaned up. Just until someone senior stepped in. They never did. Most mornings. Chicago was still half asleep when I got on the train. The seats smelled faintly like wet wool. I'd reread client notes on my phone, thumb scrolling, fixing things before anyone else noticed they were broken. I learned which problems could be patched quietly and which ones needed a call at midnight. I made those calls. Senior leadership stayed distant. Emails signed with initials. Meetings they sent assistants to. The CEO was a name more than a person. When he did appear, it was brief, polished, untouchable. He talked about vision. I handled reality. I worked late because things fell apart if I didn't. I skipped dinners because the numbers didn't line up yet. I told friends I'd catch the next one. I always meant it. I just didn't know when the next one would be. There were no compliments, no check-ins, just more work sliding onto my plate like it belonged there. I didn't mind at first. Honestly, I kind of liked being the one who could fix it. Being needed felt close enough to being valued. One night, after another 12-hour day, an email came in from the client. I saw the subject line and almost closed my laptop without opening it. I was tired. The good kind of tired that makes you careless. I left it unread, just sat there for a minute, listening to the hum of the office lights, thinking I'd get to it in the morning. I opened the email the next morning, standing by my desk with my coat still on. Elena. It started. Not team, not department, my name. The client wrote the way people do when they're trying to be precise. Like every word mattered. He thanked me for stepping in when things were falling apart. Said I kept the account alive when it could have quietly died. Said the work didn't go unnoticed. I sat down. Then came the line that made me read it again. Please accept these as a personal thank you. Personal. Not corporate, not the firm. Me. 2 Super Bowl tickets. 40-yard line. He even mentioned how hard they were to get. Like he knew what that meant to someone like me. I felt something loosen in my chest. Not excitement. Relief. Like proof I hadn't imagined the last few months. At the bottom, there was a note about logistics. The tickets had been sent through the CEO's office for coordination. Standard process. That part made me pause, but only for a second. I forwarded the email to no one. A coworker leaned over my desk and asked, "You look awake for once." Good news. Just catching up, I said. My voice came out steady. She nodded and moved on. I reread the email again at lunch, then once more before I shut down for the day. Each time, my name jumped out at me. It felt strange seeing it used like that, like it carried weight. I didn't celebrate, didn't text anyone, didn't even look up flights. I just sat there for a minute after everyone left, staring at the screen, letting myself believe it counted. That night, I folded the thought away carefully. Tomorrow would be another long day. The account still needed attention. Things could still go wrong. But for the first time in a while, I let myself think this one small thing was mine. I closed my laptop and walked out, already planning to ask about the tickets later in the week. He didn't knock. I looked up and saw him already inside my office, leaning against the door frame like he owned the space between us. The CEO, I'd seen him maybe 3 times in person before this, always passing through, always in motion. "Sit," he said, even though I was already sitting. I waited. "I heard about the tickets," he said. "From the client." I nodded. "Yes, that was a misunderstanding," he said immediately. "Clients don't always understand how things work." My stomach tightened. The email was pretty clear. He smiled at that. Not warm. More like amused. "Clear to you, not structurally sound." I didn't answer fast enough, so he kept going. You've been slipping lately? Elena, he said. Deadlines tighter than they should be. A little too much ownership. That kind of thing raises flags. I stared at him. I've been covering the account alone, and that's the problem. He said, you start thinking it's yours? He pulled the envelope out of his jacket and set it on my desk. I recognized it instantly. These are being reassigned. He said, strategically. I felt my face go hot. They were given to me. He waved that off. They were given to the firm. You should be grateful they came through it all. I swallowed. The client said personal thank you. Those were his words. His expression hardened. You should be grateful you even have a job. He said, calm, practiced, like he'd said it before. The room went quiet. I've already made plans, he added. I'm taking someone important. This is about relationships. Important to who I asked. He looked at me like I'd crossed a line. Careful. I leaned back in my chair, trying to keep my voice steady, so the work I did doesn't factor into this. He picked up the envelope. You're confusing effort with leverage. He slid it back into his jacket. Take the rest of the day if you need it, he said. Get your focus back. Then he left. I sat there long after the door closed, staring at the spot where the envelope had been. My hands were shaking, which annoyed me more than anything else. I'd done everything right. And somehow, that had made me expendable. I stayed at my desk until the office emptied, replaying every word, trying to figure out when the ground had shifted under my feet. I didn't move for a while after he left. Just sat there, staring at my screen like it had answers. My phone buzzed. A coworker from legal. You okay? She texted. Fine. I typed back. A lie? An easy one. I replayed the meeting in my head. The smile, the jacket, the way he said my name like it was a warning. I wondered if I'd pushed too hard, if I'd sounded defensive, if maybe I should have nodded more, said less. That's the ugly part. How fast your brain starts working against you. I opened the HR portal, read the reporting policy, closed it. I drafted an email, deleted it. I pictured myself standing up, marching into his office, saying exactly what I thought. That version of me felt good for about 3 seconds. Then she got fired. I told myself quitting would be cleaner. No mess, no explanation, just gone. But that felt like letting him decide the ending. And I hated that more than I hated staying. Another text came in, different coworker. Heard you might be off the account. Just rumors. I wrote. My hands shook while I typed it. I realized something then. He wanted a reaction. Anger. Tears. A scene he could point to later and say, see unstable. I could already hear it. So I didn't give him one. I closed my laptop, took a breath, opened it again, pulled up the client email, not to reread it for comfort, not to check the wording, to see what it actually said. I wasn't scared. I was done being loud for people who never listened. I stayed quiet because it was the only move that didn't help him. He stopped by my desk on his way out. Didn't sit. Didn't ask how I was doing. Just hovered. Already halfway gone. I'll be out the rest of the week, he said. Big plans. I looked up at him. Neutral face, relaxed shoulders. I made sure my voice matched. That sounds nice. I said. He smiled. The satisfied kind. The kind people wear when they think a problem has been handled. I nodded once. Enjoy the game. He paused. Just for a beat. Like he was checking for something underneath. Anger. Sarcasm. Anything. There was nothing. Good attitude, he said. That's what I like to see. Then he walked off. Whistling. Actually whistling. I waited until he was out of sight before I exhaled. My chest felt tight, but my head was clear. Clearer than it had been in days. I opened the client email again. Didn't skim this time. Read every sentence slow. The tone. The intention. The way he'd repeated my name like he wanted it remembered. Personal thank you. Not strategic. Not structural. Personal. I didn't forward it. Didn't print it. I just let it sit there. Open on my screen. Like a quiet witness. He thought he'd won because I'd smiled. Because I'd played along. Because I hadn't pushed back. That was fine. I closed my laptop and grabbed my bag. I didn't feel better. But I felt ready. He wanted people to know. That part surprised me the least. I heard him before I saw him. Laughing down the hallway like the building belonged to him. A couple of guys from sales were trailing behind, nodding along. 40-yard line. He said, "You can practically hear the hits." One of them whistled. That's insane. He caught my eye as he passed my desk. Didn't stop. Didn't lower his voice. Relationships, he said, like it explained everything. That's how real work gets done. I kept typing. At lunch. He was on the phone near the break room. Didn't bother stepping away. No, not just seats. He said, the experience. You take the right person, you lock things in. Someone asked who he was taking. He laughed. Someone who matters. I watched the pattern settle into place. The way he spoke when he thought the room was on his side. The way he framed everything as strategy, even when it was just greed with better vocabulary. I didn't interrupt, didn't react. I let him believe the story he was telling. Later that afternoon, I opened a blank message, stared at it longer than I want to admit. I kept wanting to add context, emotion, proof. I didn't. I typed, "Hi, I just wanted to thank you again for your note last week. I also wanted to clarify that I never received the tickets you mentioned. Hope you're doing well." That was it. No accusation. No explanation. Just the truth. Placed gently on the table, I hit send and locked my screen. The reply came fast. "You didn't," he wrote. I waited a minute before responding. Let it breathe. "No," I typed. I assumed plans had changed. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Came back. "They haven't." He said, "Leave this with me." I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. Not relieved. Not excited. Just steady. Around me. The office kept moving. Phones rang. Chairs scraped. Someone burned popcorn again. He walked past once more before the day ended. Still smiling. Still untouchable in his own mind. I smiled back. Small. Polite. I didn't need to do anything else. The meeting invite hit my inbox at 8:17. Mandatory attendance, client present, senior leadership required. No explanation. I didn't forward it, didn't screenshot it. I just stared at the subject line like it might blink first. 10 minutes later, he walked past my desk, coffee in hand, relaxed. Too relaxed. "Big week," he said, not slowing down. "Looks like it," I replied. He smirked. "Nothing you need to worry about," that was the tell. He always said that when he thought something was handled. In the conference room, he took the seat at the head of the table without checking the agenda. Jacket still on, phone face up, confident in a way that felt careless. One of the senior partners leaned over to him. "You flying out tonight. Already booked." He said, "Worth every mile." No one challenged him. The client arrived a few minutes later, calm, polite, eyes sharp. He nodded at me when he sat down. Didn't smile. Didn't look confused. I kept my hands folded in front of me. Told myself to breathe. Told myself not to rehearse speeches I hadn't been asked to give. This wasn't about defending myself anymore. I could feel that shift settle in my chest. Heavy, but solid. He started talking before the meeting officially began. Talking about momentum, about next quarter, about how relationships pay off when you invest in them. The client listened, quietly. I realized then that nothing I said today would change the outcome. Only what I answered. Only if I was asked. So I stayed still. Let the room work. I didn't feel brave. I felt small in a focused way, like everything unnecessary had been stripped out. He leaned back in his chair, smiling, convinced this was just another Monday. I wondered how long that feeling would last. The client didn't look at him when he started talking. He looked at me. "Before we move on," he said, voice even, "I just want to clear something up." He paused, like he was choosing his words carefully. "Elena, did you enjoy the game?" The room went quiet. I didn't rush to fill it. I didn't soften my face. I just answered. "I didn't go." He blinked once. Slow. "You didn't?" "No," I said. "I never received the tickets." I felt the shift before anyone spoke. Chairs stopped moving. Phones went dark. The CEO laughed. Too fast. There was a mix-up. He said, "She couldn't make it." The client turned to him. "That's strange. I sent those tickets specifically for her. As a personal thank you." He waved his hand. "Right, but sometimes those things get rerouted for strategic reasons." "Rerouted to who the client asked?" He hesitated. Just a fraction. I took a guess. Someone important. The client leaned back. Important to you or to the firm? No answer. One of the senior partners cleared her throat. Can we clarify something she said? Eyes on him. Those tickets weren't company property, were they? They came through my office, he said. That implies discretion. It doesn't imply ownership, she replied. I stayed quiet. My heart was loud enough. The client looked back at me. Elena, were you ever told there was a policy requiring you to give them up? No, I said. I was told I should be grateful to have a job. That landed harder than I expected. He shifted in his chair. That's not what I meant. The senior partner leaned forward. Then what did you mean, silence? The client shook his head. I've worked with a lot of firms, he said. I don't stay with ones that treat their people like this. The CEO straightened. Let's not overreact. The room had already turned. I could feel it. Not toward me, away from him. Another voice spoke up, calm and sharp. We'll need to review this internally. He opened his mouth, closed it. For the first time since I'd known him, he looked small, not angry, not powerful, just caught. I didn't feel victorious. I felt steady, like I was finally standing on solid ground. They didn't let it drag out. That surprised me. HR sent the calendar hold first. Short, clinical. No subject line drama. Just names in a room. He walked in like he still had options. I want to clarify a few things. He said, sitting down without waiting to be invited. There's been a misunderstanding. Denise from HR didn't look up from her notes. We've reviewed the expense reports. He stiffened. Which ones? All of them. She said, flights, hotel, meals, transportation, all charged to the firm during a personal trip. He leaned forward. I was entertaining a contact. Your brother-in-law, she said. Flat, not accusing, just accurate. Silence. He turned to me. You didn't need to involve the client. I met his eyes. I didn't. He scoffed. You knew what you were doing. Denise finally looked up. Elena didn't violate any policy. You did. He tried a different angle. This is retaliation. She went around me. It's not retaliation if the facts stand, she said. And they do. He stood. So that's it. Yes, she said. Effective immediately. No raised voices, no speeches, just procedure. He grabbed his phone. You'll regret this. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Later that afternoon, an email went out to the firm. Short, neutral. His name removed, his office locked. People stopped by my desk. Some whispered. Some nodded. One said, that must have been hard. It was. I said, because lying felt unnecessary now. I packed nothing. There was nothing to pack yet. When I logged off, the building felt the same. Lights, noise, movement. The world hadn't shifted. Just the balance inside it. I walked out calm. Not proud, not angry, just done. They called me in 2 days later. Different room, different tone. We want to make this right. One of the partners said, a promotion, expanded scope, more visibility. I listened, nodded, let them finish. I understood why it was happening now. Not because they suddenly saw me, because it had become expensive not to. I appreciate it, I said. And I meant that part. I just need time. That afternoon, my phone rang again. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Elena, the client said. I don't like how this firm handled things. I stayed because of you. He didn't oversell it. Didn't flatter me. Just laid it out. A role on his side. Authority. Trust. A salary that doubled what I was making. I want you where your work doesn't need defending, he said. That did it. I handed in my notice the next morning. No speech. No drama. HR blinked. Someone asked if I was sure. I am. I said. I packed slowly. Left things behind on purpose. Old notes. A mug I never liked. Proof I didn't need to carry this place with me. On my way out, I passed his empty office. Door shut. Name gone. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt clear. Here's what I learned. And I'll say it plainly. Silence isn't surrender. It's space. Space to see who people really are. Space to choose when to speak. And when to leave. If this story hit close to home, say something. share it. Someone else might be sitting quietly, thinking they're alone.